On the show Outnumbered, Fox hosts filleted Donald Trump's candidacy is an amazing thing to watch. Take a look.
The Republicans have been crying and calling out for some energy in their party, someone who doesn't speak in platitudes. They finally have it. And typically, I see on campaigns all the time, Sandra, you see candidates reacting to a news cycle. I have never seen a news cycle react to a candidate. I mean, Donald Trump made his announcement, talked about immigration, and now you see the news cycle follow. I mean, he couldn't have planned it better.
Well, I'm a big believer in more choice leads to a better outcome, and the rising tide lifts all boats scenario. You know, if Donald Trump is just bringing more energy, more attention to the Republican Party, to the brand, then it's going to help all the candidates. Jeb Bush has a very specific approach to bettering the economy.
He's been flustered by Trump. He really has no answer for Trump.
And Sandra, he does have an approach to the economy.
And a track
the problem
record.
is he speaks like an economist and puts people to sleep. I mean, that is the problem. He's not that exciting. And his record, there's a bit of cognitive dissonance. I mean, on one hand, it's very moderate. On the other, he does have streaks of conservatism. But Jesse, I think with this Donald Trump thing, I don't think he's going to be able to distance himself from those comments in his initial announcement. However, he is hitting on something that people in this country are saying, you know what, the guy has a point.
Right. Trump has tapped into the collective backbone of this country. And he's the only one willing to say that the emperor has no clothes. And people like that. President Trump's not going to bow to the Saudi king. President Trump's not going to waste $500 million on solar panels.
Okay, but
Donald Trump's not going to let illegal aliens come to the country and murder our women.
Where the fuck did that come from? President Trump is going to stop the goddamn illegals from murdering our women. Think about the way that Jesse Waters thinks and his mindset and his outlook on the world. He's an authoritarian. He's explaining to you how he's an authoritarian. He's like, I need a daddy. I need a father figure. Donald Trump can be the father figure. And he's wearing his bigotry and his disdain for undocumented immigrants on his sleeve. In his mind, it's an us versus them thing. And Donald Trump represents the good white people. And, the illegals, they're the enemy. They're bad people across the board. It's not that the overwhelming majority of them are here to try to get a piece of the American dream and try to make a better life for themselves and their kids. No, it must be that they're murdering our women, and you can lump in all undocumented immigrants with the one guy who did a crime, and by the way, that guy was deported multiple times, and they just didn't catch him in time. But what are they doing with this story? They want to use that story to feed into anti-immigrant sentiment so they could get broad legislation that punishes all undocumented immigrants and gets rid of all of them, all 11 million of them. That's exactly what's going on here. Watching Fox News is oftentimes like looking right at the conservative id. And that really is what Trump represents. We've mentioned that before on the show. He is the conservative id. He's what happens when conservatives have no filter and they tell you what they actually think. And when that happens, you have Trump saying things like, we should have stolen the oil in Iraq. To the victor go the spoils. So let me get this right. Invade a sovereign country that didn't attack us, stay there for over a decade, and rob the oil. And as we're there, we're killing hundreds of thousands of civilians, and we stir up a sectarian conflict that displaces millions of people and kills even more. Don't you understand that in that scenario, you're the bad guy, Donald? Don't you understand that you make us the bad guy? Don't you understand that we're acting quite literally like an imperialist crusader in that sense? That our actions, if we follow your plan, are a hell of a lot more like Nazi Germany than anybody else is advocating for? You don't realize that? And they said, Trump makes news cycles. Other candidates react to news cycles. He creates them. And they're saying, it's a positive thing. I mean, this is why he's a great candidate. See, he makes news cycles. Yeah, so does Kanye West. Should he be president? Justin Bieber makes news cycles. You want him as Secretary of State? Kim Kardashian's ass gets more news than anybody else ever. Maybe she could be Attorney General. How about that? Does that make sense to you? God, there's just so little sense in what they say. And finally, I just got to bring up the Jeb Bush thing because I can't help it. They're so goofy. Only on a Fox News show do they think Jeb Bush is too intelligent. He's too smart. Yeah, Jeb, he's flustered by Donald, but see, the thing is, he's just too smart. He speaks like an economist. Yeah, that's the problem with Jeb. His IQ is too high. Oh, give me a break. The problem with Jeb is that he's the biggest sellout in the entire fucking race. All he'll do is represent billionaires and corporations. And by the way, the money that he's raising in his super PAC proves it. He's raising very little money in his actual campaign because no grassroots people give a fuck about him because they know what he represents, but he's raising a metric fuck ton of money from corporations. That's why his super PAC has raised a ridiculous amount of money. And to say he speaks like an economist, there was just this entire scandal about how he came out the other day and said that Americans need to work more. We need to work more hours. We're already tapped out. We're already working more than almost every other modern nation. We already have no vacation time by law, no sick days by law. I mean, we're fucking overworked. We're overstressed. And this guy's like, yeah, my plan involves us working more. That's what I want to do. And you're going to say he speaks like an economist. Ha! Ha ha ha! He speaks like an economist if he dropped out on day one of class.